Let's start with the sky in simple human terms so you can feel the shape of this day. On 23rd August, the sun and the moon meet in Leo. That moment is the new moon, a soft blackout and restart for the emotional circuit. This new moon sits close to a point associated with release and simplification. Picture a quiet vacuum that lifts away outgrown roles, overdone performances, and identities that once served you but now chafe. In the very early hours, Mercury makes what astronomers call a northward ecliptic crossing, meaning the planet of thinking and messaging crosses the sun's path from the southern side to the northern side. In lived experience, that often shows up as quick ideas, faster conversations, sudden clarity, and a slightly higher chance of typos or missends if you rush. Later, the sun forms a quincunx with Saturn, a 150-degree geometry whose personality is a just the fit. If the sun is vitality and direction, and Saturn is rules, time, and responsibility, this angle doesn't call for drama. It invites edits. You move a milestone. You resize a deliverable. You adopt a method that respects reality. Meanwhile, Mars, your day's engine, is in Virgo, staring across the sky at Saturn in Pisces. That creates a trainable tension between the part of you that wants to fix and perfect everything right now and the part that insists on pacing, compassion, and boundaries. Jupiter in Gemini stirs growth in your public role and the way you learn in full view. Rahu in Aquarius pushes experimentation in routines, tools, and work systems. Venus spends the evening steeping in Cancer, tilting night toward nourishment, closeness, and the kind of safety that lets the nervous system loosen its grip. That's the map. Now, let's translate it for you. Virgo rising, psychologically, pragmatically, and with just enough soul to help you live it well. For Virgo, the new moon in Leo lands in the quiet room behind the stage, the place of sleep, solitude, behind-the-scenes work, endings, recovery, and the private rituals that keep you human when no one's watching. It is the reset of your backstage. The presence of a release-slavered point next to this new moon acts like a tender vacuum cleaner for old ghosts. The habit of doing everything alone in the name of competence. The reflex to hold your worry until the lights go out. The identity of the tireless helper who never asks for help. This day is not here to scold you. It's here to retire a pattern that makes you efficient at the price of inner peace. The simplest way to participate is to choose one private habit that does not love you back and let it go without ceremony. A doom scroll after midnight, a reflexive yes to late-night work. The "I'll just finish one more thing" that steals sleep. When you edit the backstage, the front stage becomes calmer without trying. Morning can feel like low tide, and that's perfect. You don't need to win the morning. You need to protect it. If you can, give the first hour to the body you live in. Warm water, slow neck and shoulder rolls, a few deep exhalations that you can hear, a brief walk with your phone in your pocket, breakfast that's warm rather than icy. Virgo rules the gut, and the gut rules the mood more than most people realize. Choose simple combinations your digestion recognizes, and thank yourself for the way that steadies your mind. If duty drags you into early meetings, define the smallest possible win for each call. One decision, one owner, one date, and let that be enough. You're not falling behind. You're honoring the reset. Because you are Virgo rising, Mars traveling through Virgo is personal. Your drive, your muscles, your to-do list, your tone. It sharpens your eye and fills your hands with energy to fix, file, label, sort, and optimize. Across the sky, Saturn in Pisces sits in the house of partners, clients, collaborators, and close mirrors. Their standoff is not a license to grind. It's a chance to learn what sustainable precision feels like. Your body will tell you when you tip into self-critique disguised as improvement. jaw tight, shoulders climbing, breath short, eyes skimming. When that happens, switch from more to better. Choose a 45-minute focus sprint, then stand up, breathe, and stretch for 5. Bring a compassionate voice to your internal coaching. Not "why can't you do this faster?" but "let's keep method clean." If a partner, colleague, or client pushes with vague urgency, ask for edges. What's the real deadline? What's the minimum viable version? What are we willing to trade for quality? You're not being difficult. You're saving the relationship from burnout. The Sun's afternoon adjustment with Saturn falls across your solitude-partnership axis, your need for repair, and your duty to others. Here's the mature move. Don't choose between disappearing and people-pleasing. Offer options that protect both reality and rapport. I can deliver the analysis by Friday if we narrow the scope to A and B. If we need C, the date moves to Tuesday. I can take this call tonight if we keep it to 15 minutes. For anything deeper, let's book tomorrow afternoon. When you talk like this, something beautiful happens. Respect grows. Not because you performed a miracle, but because you modeled adulthood. Virgo doesn't need to be a hero today. Virgo needs to be the person who keeps promises by sizing them humanly. Communication has an extra sparkle and a few gremlins because of Mercury's crossing. Mercury rules Virgo. The day has you wired to absorb and transmit. The upside? Fluid thinking, fast synthesis, sharper phrasing, sweet insights. The risk? Speed outruns care. Add one breath before hitting send. Read the first and last line of any message. Confirm recipients and attachments. In group chats or team channels, nudge the culture toward clarity. Decision captured in writing. Next owner named. Due date explicit. You're helping the future version of everyone by being precise today. If you pitch, aim for human words over jargon and offer options with trade-offs rather than a single, brittle answer. People will remember how grounded they felt in your presence more than any flourish. Career, voice, and public identity are quietly booming under Jupiter in Gemini. And on a day like this, that growth takes the shape of learn-as-you-go leadership. You don't need to posture as an expert. You need to narrate your learning and turn it into value. That sounds like, here's what we tried, here's what worked, here's what we're changing, here's the next experiment. The world trusts this transparency. It buys you room to iterate. If you work for yourself, build a tiny pilot instead of a grand launch, and write down how you'll measure success so you don't move the goalposts mid-game. If you're in an organization, send a concise update that names outcomes, what you learned, and what you will do next. Make the update kind to yourself. Not saccharine, just fair. Virgo's shadow is never enough. The medicine is sober credit. Quietly acknowledge what you delivered. Meanwhile, Rahu in Aquarius is stirring the daily grind. Systems, workflows, tools, labs, processes, health routines. It tempts you to try 10 new hacks. It rewards you for institutionalizing 2. That could be a shared checklist that removes redundant questions, a template that cuts an hour from a weekly task, a morning block that protects deep work, or a little automation that frees the team from copy-paste purgatory. Resist the urge to show off efficiency by doing more. Show off efficiency by doing the right things with less friction. Your nervous system will feel the difference within days. Let's talk about your body beyond food and schedule. Mars in Virgo heightens your capacity to train, but Mars also inflames if you ignore form. Technique is love. If you lift, anchor each movement with breath you can hear. If you run, treat cadence and posture as craft. If you do yoga or Pilates, prioritize exactness over depth. If you're a dancer, lean into placement and musicality. Let speed grow from clarity. The message is the same. Strengthen the pattern, not the panic. Injuries on days like this often come from one last rep, done to prove something to yourself. Leave a rep in the tank. You'll be stronger tomorrow. Home life and community gently glow with Venus in Cancer. This is the part of the chart that holds friends, patrons, collaborators, and the wider tribe that makes future plans possible. The evening leans toward cooking, sharing, and safe conversation, the kind that zigzags between laughter and the real stuff without either person flinching. If you live with others, do one small task shoulder to shoulder. Fold laundry together, wash dishes to music, reset the entryway. Your nervous system understands shared labor as love far more quickly than grand speeches. If you live alone, treat your space as an ally. A softer lamp, a glass of water by the bed, a book within reach, your phone asleep in another room. These are not frivolous comforts. They're the groundwork for tomorrow's composure. Relationships occupy a serious classroom with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. You're being invited to shape partnerships with both boundaries and compassion. Today, that shows up as swapping vague accommodation for clear agreements. If there's a recurring friction, last-minute requests, time blindness, emotional dumping, write down a tiny protocol together. Requests after 7 p.m. land next morning. We capture decisions in a shared doc. When one of us is flooded, we take a 20-minute break and return. Virgo's gift is process. Use it to protect love, not to control it. If you're dating, the same applies. Replace chemistry-only measures with behavior-based signals. Do they respect time? Do they repair after a misstep? Do they take responsibility for their half? Do you? This is grown-up romance. It is not less magic. It's the kind that survives weather. The creative pulse, your play, your experiments, your relationship with joy, and, if relevant, your role with children is undergoing slow renovation under Pluto in Capricorn. Consider how your idea of joy has matured. What used to thrill may now feel like noise. What once seemed small now feels profound. On a day of edits, let yourself prefer the real thing to the loud thing. If you make art, do a private session you don't post. If you have children, praise effort and kindness over results and talent. If you're rekindling desire, let intentional slowness become the technique. Virgo's sensuality is refined by attention. Presence is erotic. Belief systems and long-range vision are being electrified by Uranus in Taurus. You might feel pulls toward new schools of thought, unexpected teachers, sudden short trips, or a disruptive book that rearranges your interior furniture. Say yes to the change that widens your map without shattering your schedule. Think short retreats, modular learning, mentors outside my bubble, and build in debriefs. Write down what you learned and how it alters your next decision, or the novelty dissipates without feeding your life. Money and worth deserve a clean look. Mars in your sign can make you hustle harder to feel safe. The backstage new moon asks you to redefine safety. Sometimes safety is more income. Sometimes safety is fewer leaks. Cancel a stale subscription. Consolidate small balances. Decide on a good enough savings rule for the next quarter and automate it. If you freelance, update your services page with human language. What you do, for whom, how success is measured, what it costs, what's included, what isn't. If you're employed, prepare a facts-forward note for your manager. Outcomes, learning, next plan. Resist the spiral of should be further by now. You're building a repeatable rhythm. Rhythm compounds. Let's walk the day so it settles into muscle memory. In the morning, treat ordinary acts as ceremony. Make your bed like you are the guest and the host. Drink warm water. Move your spine until your breath rides easier. Clear the smallest surface you see every day. Choose one microtask that makes your future kinder. Lay out tomorrow's clothes, prep ingredients, pack your bag. Set a timed block on your calendar for the one thing that matters. If you must talk early, carry one sentence you want to be true at the end of the conversation, and let your words line up behind it. Keep it plain. keep it warm. Late morning into midday. Pick a single focus and give it a clean container. 45 minutes of deep work. 10 minutes of breath and movement. Repeat once. If your workday is chaotic, carve out a complete under 10 minutes window and finish 5 tiny tasks that have been nibbling at you. Completion is a vitamin for Virgos. It quiets the restless part that believes safety lives in endless lists. Safety lives in the body, the breath, the meal, the boundary, and the one thing truly done. In the afternoon, the edit hour arrives. Look directly at the place where hope and reality misalign. Don't punish yourself and don't martyr yourself. Offer options, scope, date, resources, and ask which lever to pull. If you need to tell someone no, try not this way and follow with here's a way that preserves quality. If guilt rises because you said no, breathe and ask whether that guilt belongs to an old version of you who had to prove worth by overgiving. Let that version rest. You're allowed to be effective without being sacrificial. Evening is for repair. Cook something simple and warm. Eat without a screen. If you share a home, choose a quiet ritual. A short walk, a sink-side talk while washing dishes, resetting the living room, so that the day ends with a sense of togetherness rather than separate scrolling. If you're solo, treat yourself the way you treat guests. Clear your nightstand, fill a glass, pick a book, dim the lights. Put your phone in another room and tell your brain. We'll catch ideas in the notebook. You don't have to stay up to guard them. That one line can change your sleep. If anxiety visits, don't try to out-argue it. Virgo can think forever. Instead, use the senses. Name 5 things you see, 4 you feel, 3 you hear, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. Then move 1 inch forward in the real world. Pay a bill, send a small note, wipe a counter, drink water. If irritation flares, Mars can spark. Assume fatigue first. Hydrate, eat, breathe, move. Then, if a boundary still needs to be set, say it in 2 sentences and leave the argument. I can't take that on. Here are my current commitments. I'm not available for late requests tonight. I can help tomorrow at noon. You are not being cold, you're being clear. Clarity is kindness to both sides. If grief surfaces in the quiet room this new moon illuminates, let it. Grief isn't proof you did anything wrong. It's evidence that you love and that you notice what's true. Sit with it for a song. Place a hand on your chest and breathe under your palm. Then carry the feeling into a small act of beauty. A shower with lights lowered. A plate arranged with care. A note of thanks to someone who mattered today. Virgo's love language is improvement. Beauty is improvement for the soul. In romance, upgrade the agreements that protect tenderness. You don't need fireworks tonight. You need safety. Ask for one small habit that would make closeness easier this week. Offer one you can keep. If you're single, let your profile and your messages sound like a person who rests. No performative hustle. No, I'm low maintenance when you are not. You're advertising for the kind of connection you can sustain. If you are partnered, praise concrete effort, not just outcomes. Thank you for putting your phone away during dinner is a brick in the foundation. Bricks beat bouquets in the long run. In friendship and community, choose smarter rooms over louder rooms. Jupiter wants you learning among peers who trade resources, not hot takes. Share one tool, one template, one introduction, one thoughtful thank you. Measure belonging by how resourced you and the other person feel after you talk, not by how many events you attended. If you've been spread across too many circles, choose your top 2 and commit. Devotion beats diffusion. Spiritually, keep it simple. You don't need elaborate rituals to match the gravity of a backstage reset. You need sincerity. Sit for 5 minutes with your eyes soft. Thank the older versions of you who got you here. The one who learned to keep lists when chaos reigned. The one who worked late to save the day. The one who carried panic and still delivered. Then tell them how your life works now. We can rest earlier. We can ask for help. We can finish one thing and stop. It sounds like talking to yourself, because it is. It's also reparenting your nervous system. Virgo responds to plans. This is a plan for peace. Let's come back to work one last time, because the combination of Mars in your sign and Jupiter at the top of your chart wants to produce, and the combination of the new moon in your quiet room and Saturn across the table wants to protect your humanity. The synthesis is a craft ethic. Build pilots, document learning, ship smaller, cleaner things. Offer options when reality shifts. Avoid the drama triangle. No rescuer, victim, persecutor. And stand instead in the builder's square. If leadership is silent, send a brief, factual update. If leadership is unrealistic, don't rage. Show the math and invite a choice. If you are leadership, model the boundary that preserves quality and people. You will sleep better and your team will stop equating adrenaline with excellence. Across this whole day, hold one inner instruction: lead quietly. For a Virgo ascendant, leadership is not a microphone, it's a method. It's the clean checklist that prevents panic. It's the small apology that repairs trust. It's the edited plan that keeps quality intact. It's the glass of water by the bed. It's the phone in the other room and the notebook within reach. It's the rate spoken plainly. It's the yes that means yes because the no was real. It's the care you offer others, finally aimed at yourself, with equal sincerity. If you want a single brave act, retire one habit that keeps you from sleeping well. The late meal, the glowing screen, the open tabs of half-finished life. If you want a single practical act, resize a plan so it's humane and put the decision in writing. If you want a single tender act, cook or share something warm and eat it without distraction. If you want a single spiritual act, say thank you to the hands, visible and invisible, that helped you become this steady. Then make a small promise to protect that steadiness tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, it will meet a Virgo whose backstage is cleaner, whose edges are kinder, whose plan is truer, and whose body trusts the rhythm that holds it. Your work will feel less like proof and more like service. Your relationships will breathe because you aren't holding both sides. Your home will cushion you so you can carry the world without carrying the world's adrenaline. Your mind will ride a slower wave because you taught it to trust your containers. And your heart will have room for joy again, not as an achievement, but as a side effect of a life that fits. That is the promise of this particular new moon for a Virgo ascendant. Not a louder you, but a truer one. Not more doing, but better being. Not the endless fixing of a self that was never broken, but the gentle maintenance of a life you are finally allowed to enjoy. So step into the day without hurry. Be surgical where haste used to be. Be generous where perfection used to be. Be restful where guilt used to be. Adjust what must be adjusted. Release what must be released. Nourish what keeps you human. And let the world experience the most powerful version of Virgo there is. A person whose care is so well placed that it becomes contagious, whose method is so humane that it becomes culture, and whose quiet is so honest that it becomes the room's new baseline for truth.